Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special board meeting workshop information for Adelanto Elementary School District. The day is Monday, January the 29th, 2024. Welcome in Zoom land if there's anyone out there. Let's call this meeting to order. The time is 6 o'clock. Roll call and quorum establishment. Mrs. LeVey?
Trustee Benz,
Present.
trustee Turner,
Turner present.
trustee Soto,
Soto present.
trustee Webster,
Webster present.
trustee La French.
Love French present, and the quorum has been established. Section 1.04, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Section 2, adoption of the agenda. Ms. LeVey, do we have any proposed additions, deletions, and adjustment in the order of business?
Madam President, we do not.
Thank you. 202, trustees, I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Webster, I motion to adopt the agenda.
Soto, I second that motion.
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
Soto, aye.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I motion passed 5-0. Moving on to section 3. Closed section declarations. Will be taking items 3.02 into closed session. Section 3.01, public comment period for closed session. Items listed on this agenda. The public comment period is administered by state law and is the point in the meeting set aside for members of the public to share their opinions with the board. Open meeting laws do not permit the board to engage in dialogue or answer questions. Any person who wishes to address the governing board on closed session agenda items must complete and submit an AESD speaker request form 5 minutes before the meeting is called to order. Public comments will only be taken on agenda items during the discussion of those items. The board values public comments, and although the Board of Trustees cannot take action or discuss items not on the agenda, the Board of Trustees listen carefully and appreciate input from the public. Additionally, a public speaker can be cut off for exceeding the allotted time or for willfully causing an actual disruption to the meeting. Before cutting a person off or removing someone, the board will give at least one clear warning. If you were cut off or warned last time, please consider that your warning. Individual speakers are allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each closed session agenda item. The board limits the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentations depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional persons speak only if they have something new to add. Mr. Cross, do we have any speakers for ADTA?
Yes, Madam President, we'd like to welcome Ms. Jennifer Rader to the podium this
I
evening.
wanted to call your name.
You saw me among the crowd, huh?
Yes.
Good evening. I'm happy for the opportunity to speak to you before closed session of this special workshop board meeting. I understand that tonight's agenda consists of one item, an evaluation of our superintendent. I'm frankly stunned that this evaluation comes 1 week after you extended his contract another 4 years. That's really placing the cart before the horse. Discussion of his contract renewal wasn't even due before July, and yet you extended it 4 years without even batting an eye that your entire teaching faculty has a contract that is so far 1 year out of date. Mr. Krause's self-proclaimed intention was to settle our contract in November, yet here we are in January with no agreement. Mr. Krause and Dr. Dwyzine have certainly been busy wearing numerous hats, as you mentioned last week, in admiring tones. But the business of this district is complex and exhaustive, and wearing out 2 individuals is hardly something to be proud of. I see hints of an assistant superintendent of HR in tomorrow's agenda, and I sincerely hope that we will have someone in that role. We also need a full-time chief business officer, and that role is so far unfilled. Most of all, we have a serious need for administrators at middle schools, especially Mesa Linda, which warrants several deans in addition to a principal and assistant principal. The fights, the lack of security, the assaults on teachers have been exponentially growing, and we need leadership in this area. We still have 12 teaching vacancies in the district, 12. And yet Mr. Krause is threatening layoffs. The last time this happened 2 years ago, it was also his call, and we laid off 25 individuals. Those layoffs were walked back almost immediately, but it was too late. We lost some wonderful teachers in that scare. It's downright cruel to introduce that degree of insecurity to our newest teachers. There are plenty of jobs in other districts, and we will surely lose some highly qualified teachers if we go that route again this year. How can we expect to fill our vacant positions and the extra vacancies that will be created by any layoffs if we are continually at the bottom of the desert in terms of pay scale? That seems like a failure to me, a failure of vision and a failure of foresight. Our district is very solvent, and the budget is in fine shape, despite what you have been led to believe. The governor proposed no cuts to education. In fact, he bolstered the budget with funds from his rainy day fund, increasing funding for schools TK to 14 to 39.5% of the general budget. That's about $1 billion more than the legislature appropriated for 23-24, reflecting expectations of improved revenues in the next fiscal year. But that has nothing to do with the fact that the 8.22% COLA has already been funded to the district's budget and won't be retracted. It's baked right into the budget in ongoing funds. So ongoing encumbrances, such as salaries, will not drain the reserves. That cost of living increase was deemed necessary by our governor, given to us by our governor, and funded to our district by our governor. But the district's negotiation team offered us zero, status quo. So I reiterate, how can we attract and retain highly qualified teachers if our pay is at the bottom for our area? In every cell of our pay structure, there are at least 5 districts that get paid more. In fact, if in fact, we will be in dire straits within 3 years, as Mr. Krause so gloomily forecast, that also seems like a business fail, and it seems poor rationale for extending his contract 4 years. Yes, the financial outlook for California can be bleak, but as I mentioned last week, the studios are back to work, and that is a huge funding source for California. Last week, Mr. Krause ordered the mailing of 370 certified letters at almost $5 a pop to each teacher's home to verify and confirm the details of our files that serve as tiebreakers in the event of seniority overlap, and this in case of layoffs. Layoffs which should not, under proper management, be an issue at this time. By the way, verification of teacher details and information can easily be achieved with a list sent to the secretaries, and teachers can confirm and check or inform HR about anything that is off. That's been done in years, many, many years. We've done it that way. That would have cost nothing. But let's be honest here, Mr. Krause's intent was to bring up the L word and create a panic, and it worked. I don't see that as a mark of good leadership. In contrast, Carl Coles, the superintendent of Victor Valley Union High School District, sent out this positive and encouraging message to his staff. Dear VVUSHD, UHSD, as you may have heard, the governor recently released his proposed state budget for 24-25 next year. Although the proposal maintains current funding levels for education, the cost of living allowance increase is just 0.76, which falls significantly short of projections of nearly 4%. Possible funding shortfalls can often cause uncertainty and uneasiness in our profession. Given the district's financial status, I want to assure everyone that for the upcoming school year, VVU HSD will not cut programs affecting our students' educational experiences, nor will we be laying off any personnel due to the budget. Additionally, we will remain steadfast in prioritizing our students and staff despite financial insecurity and uncertainty, The reason for this letter is to ensure the distraction of the state budget is not in the way of us being our very best for each other and our students. Every one of you matters and plays a significant role in carrying out our core values and meeting our goals. We cannot predict the future with certainty, but undoubtedly there may be bumpy roads ahead over the next couple of years. However, the true test of any organization is its ability to remain unified when facing challenges and having the wherewithal to come out even stronger. The unity in our district is robust between the Board of Trustees, Victor Valley Teachers Association, CSEA, administration, and more than 1,000 staff members. We stand united in our commitment to preparing our students to live a life of purpose with unlimited potential. Sincerely, Carl Coles. Now, I call that creative kindness. So in closing, I'm asking you to consider all these points when you consider your evaluation of Mr. Kraus. However, it seems like an exercise in futility since his contract has already been extended. How very strange that seemed to all of us. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Do we have a representative from CSEA?
Mr. Duran, do you see anybody in the Zoom meeting raising their hand for CSEA this evening?
There is no one.
Thank you, Mr. Duran. Not at this time, Madam President.
Do we have any audience members?
We did have a person that put in for public speaking, but it's item 502, which is on tomorrow night's agenda for tomorrow night's board meeting, but not for this evening, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to section 5, recess to closed session. Trustees made a motion to recess to closed session.
Trustee Webster, I motion to recess to closed session.
Trustee Turner, I second.
Ms. LeVey, please call for the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
trustee La French.
Love French, I motion passed 5-0. The time is 6:13. We're going into closed session. Thank you. Good afternoon or good evening, reconvening from open session. 6.01 call to order. Ms. LeVey, would you please have roll call?
Trustee Benz,
Present.
trustee Turner,
Turner, present.
trustee Soto,
Present.
trustee Webster,
Webster, present.
trustee La French.
Love French present. The time is 8:43. Moving on to section 7, closed sessions report. Currently, we have nothing to report out. Section 8, adjournment. Trustees, I need a motion to adjourn.
Benz, I motion to adjourn.
Webster, I second.
Ms. LeVey, please take the vote.
Trustee Soto,
So do I.
trustee Webster,
Webster, I.
trustee Turner,
Turner, I.
trustee Benz,
Benz, I.
and trustee La French.
Love French, I motion passed 5-0. The time is 8:43. Will everyone please have safe travels home? Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
Good evening.